Hey, Brian from Garage Mahal. Today I have a SereneLife portable steam room, steam sauna, you want to call it. Traditionally speaking, a sauna is typically dry. A steam room, steam shower is obviously wet because it produces steam. That's kind of the difference. So I just wanted to make that clear right from the get-go on the video. I have it unpacked because I wanted to make sure all the pieces are there for the video. It was missing the hose that goes from the steam generator to the, I guess, the tent that we're going to put together, the steam room. I contacted SereneLife and they said that they would send me a replacement hose, but I was a little impatient and wanted to get this running. So I went to my local hardware store and I picked up a 1/2-inch hose. That seems that it fits the two connections rather well. It's not high pressure, but I ended up getting like the braided hose just because it was clear. I like to see what's going on with stuff like this, especially when I just recently get them. But anyway, let me start the steam generator up. I'll show you how that works, and then I'll show you how this all goes together, and we go from there. Okay, so this is the product manual. So just kind of give you an idea, and it does have a lot to it. So definitely go through and make sure you read all the directions. It does have the assembly of how all these poles go together, and they are numbered, so that'll make things a little bit easier. And it kind of shows you how everything goes together. And then that is the steam generator. And like I said, it was missing a hose. No big deal. Easily remedied with a 1/2-inch hose. And what you do is basically, so it's going to come like this, and it's supposed to have all the pieces in here. It does come with a remote control, which is pretty cool. So when you're inside it, you can adjust the different levels. I do have some water in here, so I'm going to kind of like show you that up close. Okay, so this is the steam generator. And basically, you can fill it up pretty high. It actually has a water level. I think it shows 4 liters max. So I'm basically going to put in a liter of water. And the only thing this really does is it just kind of like boils the water for you. So, and then basically you put this on, and then you like kind of turn it to lock it. And again, it's not high pressure by any means, but you always want to be careful around steam. That is your on switch on the side. And then this is your control panel. You want to hit power on, and then it's going to give you 45 minutes, power 16. That's the highest level, defaults to. So you can kind of put this up and down. And then again, with your timer, depending on how long you want to take a, like the steam for. And again, what this contraption does is it basically boils the water inside this container, and then it will force it out through this hose right here, or this nozzle rather. This is where you're going to hook the hose up to. This does get rather hot, so I am kind of touching it as it gets warm, and then you'll actually start hearing the water begin to boil inside here. And I haven't figured out how much water you need for every situation, but I like the fact that you can put 4 liters in here. That should be enough to get you through a whole steam bath, as I like to call it. And I can kind of slightly hear the water getting hot, and you can see the condensation that is building up on the inside of here. And last time it took about 2 minutes before it started generating some steam. But again, I had only had about 1/2 liter. This is a full liter of water I put in there, so it might take a little bit longer. And I don't know if you can hear that, but it's starting to make that boiling sound on the inside. And the camera's probably going to have a tough time picking up on it, but I'm sure you can kind of see it's starting to form a little bit. So the timer is down to 41. So it's taken roughly about 5 minutes to get a good column of steam going, and you should be able to see that going pretty good right now. So I'm basically just going to put the hose on here real quick, and wow, you can really kind of see it going, and that is definitely on the hotter side. So make sure you put this hose on beforehand. Let me just hold this and get that on there like that. And then again, you should be able to see the steam coming through that hose. And it's tough with the camera work. I'm sure if I held this up closer, it'd probably steam the lens up. So kind of really give you a good general idea how that works. As we let it de-steam and clear up. And this hose is getting rather on the warm side as I hold it. But again, that'll give you an idea of how that works. And again, just kind of like aiming this towards so you can see the steam on as I focus that on the lid. Okay, so let's turn this off. And we just hit the power button in the back. And then we'll just turn that switch off. And then we'll just let that, and then the steam will work its way out. And this hose does get warm, so be careful. Okay, so let's get everything else unpacked from here. So this is basically the main part of your steam tent. So we're gonna put that down and out of the way for a second. And then you get a bag of corners. As I drop them on a pipe, it makes some loud noise. And then that is your steam generator box. We'll just use that for parts right now. Okay, so we get 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 corners. And then, like I said, they are all numbered. So let's go through and see what we have to do skeleton-wise to make this all together. And it looks like this is going to be so it looks like this is going to be kind of like the steam catch tray or the bottom of the tent. Okay. And then this is your chair that you sit on the inside. And again, I'm not so sure about this chair yet, comfort-wise. We will figure it out, but it is one of those quick open tents, and it's not like chairs. So it's not like you're going to be spending hours in this, 45 minutes max. So that will work. And then these are all the poles, and like I said, they are numbered, and it looks like the top is comprised of 1s and 2s, and then the bottom is basically 3s and 4s. So let's get these kind of separated out. So that's a 3. And it doesn't look like they are all labeled. So we are going to have to do some figuring by length. So those look like they're about the same length. Those are 3s. I have a different end on it. So it looks like this has a connector on it. So I assume that's going to be a 4. So 3 and 4. So this is a 2. And that's another 3. It looks like the ones with no ends are going to be 1s or 2s. And it looks like that's another, potentially a 3. And then that's a 4. So we need to make 2 more of those. So that's another 2. Here's another 3. Another 4. So that's pretty easy to identify what side you need on those. Here's another 4. Here's the other 3 sitting right next to me. Okay, so those are basically the up and down parts. Here's a 2, here's another 2. I want to compare size-wise, see how they all are. Then I have a 1, a 1, and a 1. It looks like they're all about the same size. They shouldn't be, but it looks like they are. So again, I'll probably stencil these in. So that looks like that's a 1. That's a 1. And these are 2s. And from the looks of it, it looks like they are all basically the same size from what I can tell. So, okay. So I guess the differentiating part is it is going to be a rectangle, looks like. So let me put these. That's definitely a 1 because that's marked as a 1. So that's going to be a 1 on that side. I'll put a corner here. That's another 1 for sure. That's another 1 over here. Okay, so that's good. So they are all marked. And the 2s are going to run across this way. Okay, I'll push them together. There's another 2 over here. I'll put that down, get in the corner. Okay. And then we'll make the other side. So this is a 1. Put that up there. And here's the other 1. 1. And then your 2 2s. So it looks like that's going to be your top piece. So let me get the sides done. Let me see how this wants it boxed in. All right, so we'll put one of these in each corner. Okay, let me drop my platform down so we can get to the top. Okay, I should be able to get the top on now. And we're just gonna put this over each corner. And pretty easy to get set up. I'm gonna push that down, make it taut. Okay. So they want you to make sure that that steam port is going behind that. So we'll get that. I'll get in there and I'll tie that up. All right, so let's hook the steam generator up. All right, so this is my custom hose. And we are going to route this. And it's going to be kind of difficult to get this on. Okay, let's get some more water. Get ready to hop in there, and we'll be back. Okay, so looking around in here, it obviously is on the dark side, and I do have the window kind of facing the light and outside, but it is still pretty dark in here, so just keep that aware. Maybe I don't know, like a waterproof like lantern or something here might be super helpful. And that is hard to see, but that is your steam valve right there, and you can start to hear the steam building up as it's starting to come in the room. And I'll use a temp gun to show you the how warm it actually gets in here. But I filled it all the way up, and it took a little over 6 minutes for the steam to start coming through, because there's 4 liters of water, so that's kind of a lot. But the chair's surprisingly pretty comfortable, even though it keeps you in a pretty straight up position. And again, standing in here, so standing in here, I still have a couple inches above my head. I'm 5'8", so that's pretty cool. And it has a little, like, I guess, phone holder. And I guess I could probably sit sideways. Probably more of a better thing so I can utilize that pocket. And again, so that is a little, I guess I can put my phone in here, or any little accessories while this thing heats up. And also make sure you bring water, stay hydrated while you're in here. And I can definitely feel the steam coming through. So let's check back in a little bit. Okay, so it's probably been about 10 minutes, and you can start to see how everything is starting to get a little steamy on the inside here. And I mean, it's getting hot pretty fast. And again, that little floor piece, again, hard to see with no light in here. Let me turn the camera around with some light, and we'll focus in on that a little bit better. Okay, so that is a picture of the valve, and see how I kind of have it cupped over, and you can see the steam coming out that way. And I did turn myself around, so I got my feet facing here. Obviously, keep your feet away from that, because that is going to be definitely on the hot side. But I like how it's got this little pocket here. I can put my cell phone in. And obviously make sure that if you bring a phone or tablet with you, that it is waterproof. And that'll give you a better shot of what the steam looks like. And yeah, it's getting toasty in here. Alright, back to the angle where I don't have the light available, but hopefully you can see me pretty good. But it is getting nice and toasty in here. Yeah, I'll bring in a temp gauge in a little bit, and then I'll show you what the temperature actually is inside. Okay, so we're at like 97 degrees and climbing. I got it just open a crack so you can kind of like see what the temperature is and how steamy it gets in there. But yeah, it gets warm. But anyway, Brian from Garage Mahal, thanks for watching, and be safe out there.